Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about eye infections, and before we get into eye infections I wanted to briefly talk about the anatomy of the eye briefly because that's not my specialty, and then the immune things that help protect our eyes. So starting with the main parts that protect our or the anatomy of the eye, there's the conjunctiva, which is a thin transparent layer that covers the white part of our eyes and inside of our eyelids. It helps keep our eye moist and it's very important as being a barrier against infection. There's cornea, which is a clear dome-shaped surface that covers the front of our eye. It plays a role in focusing light onto the retina, and it's important as part of our eye's power. Next, there's the iris. This is the colored part of our eye that controls the size of our pupil and regulates the amount of light that enters. There's also the lens, which is located behind the iris, and the lens focuses light onto the retina and it helps you see objects at different distances. Finally, the retina is the layer at the back of the eye that detects light and converts it into electrical signals, which are then sent to your brain through the optic nerve. So that's brief anatomy. Next is immune defenses of our eye. So our eye has many built-in defenses to protect it against infection because we're always touching our eyes. There's tears. These are important not just for crying. They contain enzymes like lysozyme that help break down pathogens like bacteria. They have antibodies and other proteins that neutralize pathogens and flush out microbes and debris. Our conjunctiva also contains immune cells that detect and respond to pathogens, and it also produces mucus, which traps pathogens. There's also antibodies, especially IgA, which are in our tears and help also neutralize bacteria and viruses. They bind to pathogens, making them easier targets for our immune cells, which are our white blood cells. So white blood cells are here and they're always ready to fight off infection. They include neutrophils, which are the first responders to bacterial infections. There's lymphocytes, which help with virus infections. So now let's talk about the different types of infections. So there's conjunctivitis, which is also called pink eye. It can be caused by bacteria or viruses. For bacterial conjunctivitis, it's caused by bacteria like Staphylococcus aureus, Streptococcus pneumoniae, and others. These bacteria can get into our eyes through contact with dirty hands, surfaces, or respiratory droplets. So for example, touching your eyes after shaking hands with someone who has these bacteria on their skin can transfer the microbes to your conjunctiva. And then when these bacteria grow, our immune system sends white blood cells like neutrophils to fight them. And this response can cause inflammation, which is redness, swelling, and sometimes you see this mucus discharge to help fight the infection. Conjunctivitis or pink eye can also be caused by viruses like adenoviruses. You can catch it by respiratory droplets like from a cough or a sneeze, or by touching dirty surfaces and then your eyes. The link here is dirty hands touching your eyes. So this type of conjunctivitis is really contagious, the viral one, and it usually spreads really quickly in schools, especially with little kids who are always touching their eyes. There's also blepharitis. So remember, itis means inflammation. So blepharitis, there's bacterial and viruses, and these bacteria can enter the oil glands, which are at the base of our eyelashes, through dirty hands or even a dirty makeup, like trying on makeup at Sephora and other places. And then this causes this immune response, inflammation, redness, swelling, and then you can see crusty eyelids as your immune system tries to fight off the bacteria. There's also keratitis, and this is very important for people more so that wear contact lenses. So bacteria like Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Staphylococcus aureus can stick to your lenses and multiply if they're not cleaned properly, or if you use them longer than you should, as I used to do all the time as a student when I didn't have money. So I know people do it all the time. I'm not recommending you do it at all, but if you are, just make sure you're cleaning them really well. And there's also viral keratitis. So all these things, they can be caused by viruses or bacteria. For treatment, like always, for bacterial infections, you give antibiotics. For viral infections, you don't really do much. The best thing is to keep your eyes clean, to keep cleaning them, and that mucus is helping get rid of the pathogens. Finally, there is styes. Styes are these painful red bumps that you see, and they can be caused by infected oil glands. This is typically due to Staphylococcus aureus bacteria. This bacteria can get into these oil glands through direct contact with dirty hands, dirty makeup, old towels. And then once the bacteria infects these glands, our immune system sends off white blood cells like neutrophils, and that's where you see all the inflammation so that your body can fight off the infection.